Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video we are going to break down the Halloween Horror Nights RIP Tour, a little complete guide to exactly what the Halloween Horror Nights RIP Tour is, and we are going to break down if we believe the RIP Tour is worth it. So if you are planning a Universal Orlando trip specifically for Halloween Horror Night, this video is for you. Be sure to stick around to the end as we're going to break down everything you need to know. As always, I'm very excited, so let's go get started. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, we are about to break down everything you need to know about the Halloween Horror Nights RIP Tour. So you're going to want to be sure to go and check out Halloween Horror Nights. Now, where it gets really complicated for Halloween Horror Nights is there are 10 haunted houses and they're all really cool. So if you're doing your research, you already know that you're going to want to really see all of them, right? With that being said, though, this event is so popular that so many people come to the parks that the wait times for the haunted houses can get out of control. Like during the peak Halloween Horror Nights in late October, some of the wait times for the haunted houses can get up to 2 to 3 hours per haunted house, right? So you definitely need to have a game plan going into your time in Halloween Horror Nights, or B, you have to make sure you have the right tickets. And the RIP Tour is one of those very popular, exclusive tickets that will help you get through all the haunted houses a lot quicker. And here's exactly how it works. So we're going to start with the basics, and that is, what is the Universal Orlando Halloween Horror Nights RIP Tour? And the RIP Tour is an exclusive VIP experience that offers instant access to all of the haunted houses, Scare Zone, and Halloween Horror Night shows. And now the really important thing to keep in mind is that when we say front of the line access or instant access, we really mean it. This is completely different from the Universal Express Pass, which essentially allows you to go into a different queue. So you have the regular queue, right, for guests with standard Halloween Horror Night tickets. Those wait times, like I said, can be, on average, they're probably going to be around 60 minutes. For the really popular haunted houses, especially during the popular times of year, they're going to go up to 2 to 3 hours. The Universal Express Pass, on average, will typically help you take that wait time and cut it in 40%, 30%, sometimes in half, depending on the haunted house that you're going to. So you can see there's a huge value in the Express Pass alone. The RIP Tour, though, is going to essentially walk you into the front of the line. And I've done the RIP Tour, and that's why I'm doing this video, because I really see the value now. You don't wait at all. They market it as front of the line access. It is front of the line access. I know it's a long way to get to that point. So now the important thing to keep in mind when you're looking at the RIP Tours is that there are two different types of RIP Tours. There are the non-private Universal Studios RIP Tour, and then there is the private Universal Studios RIP Tour. The biggest difference here is that the private, just like it sounds, is only your group. Because of that, though, it does cost a significant amount more, and we will talk about the pricing in a little bit. The other important thing to keep in mind, now for the non-private, that's realistically what most guests go with, and the way that will work is the non-private RIP Tour groups will hold up to 12 people. However, it's important to note that your group in itself can only have up to 6 people being part of that 12. So if you do have over 6, so if you're a group of 7, you do have to upgrade to the private RIP Tours. Now, the other important thing to note is that Universal does have multiple departures throughout the night. So it's very similar to if you watched our video on the Universal Orlando VIP experience in the park, you'll essentially be getting a departure time. So your group might depart at 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, or 8:30. So you get to choose which departure time you would like. The ones later in the evening typically go quicker. And of course, everything is based upon availability. And that is another really important thing before we even get into how the tickets work for the RIP Tour. These are super popular. They really are, especially for families who are trying to get everything done within one night. So they do sell out quickly. So I know it's early, but the time we're recording this video, and we're going to be releasing it in the summer, if you are thinking about doing an RIP Tour, make sure you go and you book your tickets, because they will sell out. All right, so now jumping into the ticketing and exactly how the tickets work for the RIP Tour. And again, very similar to the Universal Orlando VIP experience, you will need a regular admission ticket and the RIP admission as well. So we're going to talk about pricing next, but this throws guests a little bit, because you'll see that the pricing for the RIP Tours are very expensive, and a lot of guests are like, wow, that doesn't include the price of admission, but it does not. So in order to get into the Halloween Horror Nights RIP Tour, you do need a regular Universal Halloween Horror Nights admission ticket and you will need to purchase the Universal Orlando RIP Tour. But now let's jump in. Let's talk about the pricing for a little bit. And so for the non-private, and again, that is really the most popular, the price ranges for this year's RIP Tours are going to be between $299 up to $449. I'm averaging here a cost of a Universal Halloween Horror Nights admission ticket will typically be around $85. So essentially, in order to get in for the RIP Tour, you would need to, you're going to pay between $299 to $449 plus that additional, $85 for your admission ticket. So it is a pricey night, and that is per person. So if you do have a family of 4, this adds up very, very quickly. But again, we're going to talk into, what's included, is it worth it next, and you'll see, we're going to break it down by hour. But very, very quickly, the other thing I do have to touch base on is if you're looking for pricing for the non-private RIP Tour, you kind of have to get custom pricing for that. But if you are interested and you do, want some additional details, just be sure to email me, Mike@theparkprodigy.com. Let me know which date you're looking to go to Halloween Horror Nights, and we'll get you custom pricing for that private tour. Now let's jump in and let's start to break down, okay? But now let's jump in and let's talk about what exactly is included in the RIP Tour. We gave you a little, glimpse, like you get to skip the lines, but let's talk about everything that's included. Okay, and so we are starting again with what we just discussed, and essentially priority VIP entry to all of the haunted houses. For the non-private, you can essentially enter the haunted houses once per house based on your guide's itinerary. Now on the private VIP tours, and this is one of the things I think is the coolest, you can essentially go into the haunted houses as many times as you would like, or the same haunted house as many times as you would like. Next, we're moving over to a commemorative RIP Tour credential, lanyard, and button. So this is going to be one per guest. You're also going to receive free valet parking. And I do think this is very, very important because especially if you don't plan to spend all day at the parks and if you do plan to drive, getting over to Halloween Horror Nights quickly is really, really important. And there's a lot of people coming in, like I said, so having that valet parking would really, really save you some time. And then before your tour begins, there is a pre-tour reception at Cafe La Bamba. You also will have access to exclusive cash bar locations throughout the Halloween Horror Nights event. And I do believe, again, I'm an adult to visit the theme park, so we will have a couple of drinks as we're going through our night in the parks. This alone also is going to save you a tremendous amount of time because you don't think about little things like that where it's okay, if the park is really, really crowded and between houses you want to go and you want to get a drink, you're going to have to wait online. Not with the RIP Tour, you will have access to exclusive cash bars, and there's really no lines because it's specifically for guests on the RIP tours. Then, of course, the other really, really cool thing is you do have reserved seating at select shows throughout the night. So based on last year, the Universal hasn't released the shows just yet for 2023. And again, we're trying to set this video up so you can watch it anytime in the future and, make the best decision on the RIP Tour. But based on years past and what we typically see at Halloween Horror Nights, there are typically 2 shows. So you will have reserved seating at these shows. The other really, really cool thing is you will receive a Universal Express Unlimited ride pass. Now, this is specifically for the rides that are open at Halloween Horror Nights, but you will have an express pass to go on those rides either before or after your RIP tour. And last but not least, I can't forget your amazing tour guide. And again, I do believe that's another really, really cool part of being on any private tour at Universal Orlando is you will get, little tips and tricks, and you really get a lot of information from your tour guides on, which haunted houses you're going into, what's the backstory here, why this haunted house is different from years past, or what makes this one so unique, and just everything about it is such a really, really cool experience. You get a lot of information, and the tour guides are so cool, and they love what they do, which makes you really excited to be there. So that's a very, very important one as well. Okay, so now let's jump into probably the reason why many of you are here, and that is the RIP Tour worth it? It's important for me to note that on average, the RIP tours will typically be between 4 to 4.5 hours. All right, so what we're trying to do is we're looking at an average Halloween Horror Nights event, and an average Halloween Horror Nights event is going to be for 6 hours, right? So we have 6 hours, we have 10 haunted houses, we have 2 shows, and then the rides. For what we're doing right now, I'm just going to include the 10 haunted houses and the 2 shows because that's really the main reason why most guests go to Halloween Horror Nights. Now, what we did was, again, we're going and we have to look at the Halloween Horror Nights admission tickets, which on average are going to cost you $85 per person. Okay, so to start, we're just going to look at a regular admission into Halloween Horror Nights, and we're going to say that you are spending $85 per person to get in. And again, that pretty much equates to $14 per person to be inside Halloween Horror Nights. Now, let's just say that it's a kind of a slow night and you're going to wait, again, on average 60 minutes per haunted house. Now, that doesn't include walking to the haunted houses. So our numbers are definitely going to be a little aggressive. I would say maybe you get a little bit more done, maybe you get a little bit less done. But just for the basis of this video, we're going to say you get on 6 haunted houses without upgrading to the Express Pass or the RIP tour. Now, you are going to have to spend all 6 hours on these lines waiting to get into these 6 haunted houses, but essentially it's going to cost you $14 per haunted house for a regular admission ticket, but you do miss 4 haunted houses and you do miss the 2 shows. Moving over to the Universal Express Pass. And so again, what we have to do here is we do have to take the regular admission ticket, which is going to be $85 per person, and we went and we looked at the Express Pass pricing for Halloween Horror Nights, and I would say on average you're going to be spending around $150 on top of the $85 for the Universal Express Pass. So pretty much you're going to be spending $235 per person. Now, we're going to say that you're going to save half of the time that you would have saved, right? So if you were going to wait online for 60 minutes for, the haunted houses, you're going to wait online now for 30 minutes with the haunted houses essentially. And what that will allow you to do is based on that, you can see all 10 of the haunted houses, plus, let's say you mix in the 2 shows. And again, this is being aggressive, but we're just trying to keep it simple to give you an idea. Essentially, what this equates to is that you're spending $19 per haunted house or $19 per show. But again, you will be spending every single minute of your Halloween Horror Nights event either waiting online or, moving over to the next haunted house. So you really, really have to keep on the move, again, because you could see 6 hours, we're doing 30 minutes, per attraction. So again, in order to get absolutely everything done, you'd have to stay the entire night, and it would cost you $19 per haunted house or show. So next we're moving over to the RIP tour. And what we did was on average, we said, okay, for the non-private RIP tour, it might cost you $350 plus the $85 for the Halloween Horror Nights admission ticket. So you're going to spend $435. And again, this is guaranteed. You're going to see 10 haunted houses, the 2 shows, and of course you have access to all of the attractions and the rides that are open for Halloween Horror Night. You're going to see all of this. Now, the difference between what we just discussed with the Universal Express Pass and the admission ticket is if you could pull it off, yes, you could do everything, and you pretty much are doing it for $200 less per person, because for the RIP tour and the regular admission ticket, you're at $435. For the Halloween Horror Nights Express Pass and the admission ticket, you're at $235. So you can pull it off, again, possibly for $200 less per person. The biggest difference here is that when you break down the RIP tour, 10 haunted houses, and the 2 shows, it's going to cost you $36 per attraction. You're going to do it in a lot less time, and it's going to be a lot more laid back and relaxing. And what I mean by that is, again, you have to think if you're skipping the line and going straight to the front of these haunted houses, you're going to have a lot of time as, you're walking from one haunted house to the other. You're stopping at those, exclusive private cash bars that they have. You're stopping, for bathroom breaks. You're stopping for snacks. You're just going to have a lot more time in between to enjoy the scare zones, like stuff like that. And I will say, I really, really believe that it is a different experience. I've done both. I've done the Express Pass. I've done without the Express Pass. I did the RIP tour. And for me personally, and I do think this is another big thing for me to say, is it worth it to you or not? We got done with the RIP tour within 4 hours. And I mean, we did everything within 4 hours. And for me, as a millennial, an older millennial, I will say, going to the parks, for me to be able to show up and to see everything in Halloween Horror Nights within 4 hours and be back at my Universal Orlando hotel before midnight was amazing. Because the next morning I woke up and I got a great night's sleep and I got enough hours, and we went right back to the park. Instead of being in the park, till 1 a.m, then by the time you get back to your hotel, it's 1:30, 2 o'clock. It makes all the difference in the world. And again, we didn't feel rushed. From a numbers basis, it definitely costs more. As you could see, again, we just went through it. It's going to be, on average $14 per haunted house for the regular admission ticket, but you're not going to see them all, especially if you're going during the busier times of year or even during the mild times of year. For the Express Pass with the Halloween Horror Nights ticket, you possibly could see them all. I also, again, I believe that if you really don't have a game plan, it's going to be tough. But let's just say you do see them all. It's going to cost you $19 per haunted house or show. And then, of course, with the RIP tour experience, it's going to cost you $36 per haunted house or show. But you will get through it a lot quicker. And in my opinion, you will have an amazing time. So that is it, everyone. That is the complete guide, and that is the little breakdown on the RIP tour and if it is worth it or not. If you do have any additional questions, just be sure to leave them in the comment section, and we will help you out as best as we can. And if you are in the process of planning a Universal Orlando vacation and you do need a little additional help, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you again so much for checking out this video, and until next time, I will talk to you soon.